Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Berry Show. Alright, also, I hope you guys like this new setup and, um, say how I'm starting off the videos from now on. Um, and today I'll be reacting to, um, I think one more channel made a video that I missed on Are You as Hungry as I Am? So, yeah, I guess, without further ado, let's watch.
I'm what you would call an urban explorer.
Alright.
Not just any kind of explorer at that. I'm specifically one who is not only adventurous, but also a little messed up in the head. Not because I risk my life, as well as my police record, to go and find as many places to go and explore, but I even take a step further by doing some ghost hunting as well.
Oh.
Depends on the place that I go to, that is. Now, I know that messing with that kind of thing is really fucking stupid, but honestly, I could really care less. I love the feeling, the rush that it gives me. I guess you could say that I have a bit of an addiction to it, and you'd be right. I honestly don't really know how or why, for that matter, I got into exploring in the first place. All I know is that I just started doing it when I was 10 years old, and since then, been doing it ever since. I have to say that my favorite places to go and explore are abandoned houses, asylums, churches, and the like. For me, it's like a big treasure chest. You never know what you're gonna find unless you look. I've had quite some surprises pop up when I was exploring this place. For one, I'd found a suitcase in an old decrepit house that was filled with baseball cards of every kind, including some rare ones that would have made me one rich son of a bitch had I actually decided to take the case home with me. Never really understood why I didn't take it home, but whatever. Despite all of the risk, dangers, and the potential arrest, I really enjoy what I do. However, I do remember one instance that actually not only managed to scare the hell out of me, but put me off exploring for the next 6 months.
And what is it?
It was the August of 2012. Me and a few friends were going off on some kind of vacation to celebrate our graduation from college.
Okay.
I can't really recall where we were planning on going to, but what I do remember was that it was located in Austin, Texas. However, it was an 18-hour-long drive from Minnesota to Austin, Texas. Now, the drive itself wasn't really that bad. If anything, it was one of the most memorable moments of my life.
Nice.
Me and two friends all laughing, telling jokes, and listening to all the Metallica we could stand before our ears bled.
Huh.
Now, despite the fact that we had a GPS, we wound up getting our asses lost.
Oh, what a
Don't know
shame.
how we got lost, but if I had to make a guess, I think it was the crappy operating system programmed into that GPS that we bought. And then again, it was only 20 bucks, so I guess you get what you pay for.
Yep.
But all dreams of getting to that weird place we were planning on going to dashed, we all decided to take a week of our vacation in the place that we had managed to land ourselves in. Odaville, Connecticut. The town itself wasn't really as big as we expected it to be. It had some of the basics, a simple grocery store, a pub, a few small hotels, some other shops, an apartment complex, and a large town hall, but that was about it. Despite the fact that there wasn't very much into the town, we decided to stay at one of the hotels and just chill there for the week. Once we had all gotten ourselves checked in, unpacked, and rested up, my friends decided to send me out into the town to check and see if there was anything to do there. I was a bit reluctant, seeing how there was really nothing special about the place, but I sucked it up and went. On my drive down to the main part of town, I accidentally made a left turn when I was supposed to turn right.
Oh,
I
shame on
found
you.
myself going down dirt roads filled with rows and rows of wheat and corn crops. Now, I would have turned around and went back to the hotel, but since this was only a one-way road, I couldn't actually turn around without crashing into something.
Mm.
This meant that I had to keep driving until I found a separate road or driveway to pass by. After about 20 minutes of driving in complete and utter darkness, I wound up coming up to a large red farmhouse in the distance. About 5 minutes later, I finally got myself to where the barn house was located. To my surprise, the farmyard surrounding the barn was a lot bigger than I had originally anticipated.
Mm.
However, it wasn't the size of the barnyard that was most intriguing, it was the oddness of the setting. The barn house itself looked very faded. The red and white paint that had once adored the wood was now chipped and torn.
Oh.
The grass surrounding the farmhouse was exceedingly long, about 4 or 5 inches in height. The actual home, to what I assume must have been the farmer's, looked like it had been touched in months. I wondered to myself if this place was abandoned, or the owner was just lazy as fuck doing his job.
Well, who knows?
After turning my car around, I managed to get myself back from the small town. This time, instead of searching around for interesting places, I stopped at a local pub and decided to get some kind of answers about that barnyard place they'd just been at. It wasn't easy getting anyone to actually talk to me, mostly because of the fact that most of the people there were either drunk or passed out on the floor.
Oh.
But I wound up meeting up with somebody. Well, specifically getting someone to talk to. It was an old woman, about 5 feet in height. She had long orange hair, wore pink glasses with small chains around the ends, wore a very traditional-looking blue and white dress with matching apron wrapped around her waist. She also had flower earrings and pink high heels. I remember walking up to her and asking some questions about the barnyard that I had just been at. She gave me a worried look, and then proceeded to explain that she hadn't really seen anyone come out of that farm for quite some time.
Oh.
Which, she said at least, was rather odd, seeing as how the farmer buyer, usually had made many trips to the town's farmer market to sell his produce. I asked her if the farm was abandoned, and she responded that, with the lack of activity coming from the place, she wouldn't be surprised if it was. I thanked her, and made my way back to the hotel. I was honestly beaming with excitement at the idea of actually exploring an abandoned barnyard.
Well,
When I
that is
got
fun.
back, I found both of my friends had fallen asleep while I was away. I didn't really care. It just gave me more time to go out and explore.
Right?
I made sure to go and grab all of my usual gear, a pocket knife, flashlight, water bottle, and combat boots before I got back to the car and drove off. It didn't take long for me to get back to the place. When I got there, I made sure to get all my gear together, and then I got out of my car and locked it. I remember that weird feeling I had got when I had gotten out of the car. Felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. Seeing how it may have just been my nerves, which is always the case when I go to a new place, I sucked it up and made my way to the main area of the farm. Once I arrived, I took a long look around. There really wasn't much for me to explore, actually. Just the main farmhouse and the barn. Wasn't what I was used to when exploring, but it was enough, I guess.
It's something.
The first place I decided to go and check out was the farmer's home. I made my way over towards the small 2-story building, walked over towards the front door, and for the hell of it, knocked on it. I knew for a fact that nobody was home. I mean, it was abandoned after all.
Well, yeah.
But I thought that it would be something to joke about with my friends at the next road trip. The weirdest thing happened, though. When I went to knock on the door, I found it was already opened.
Oh.
Seeing as I didn't need to smash a window in order to let myself in, I shrugged and walked in. As I made my way inside the house, I noticed something that made me stop dead in my tracks.
What is it?
All of the furniture, the TV, couch, table, chairs, were all still there.
Oh.
This is definitely confusing, as I expected the house to be more or less a pigsty with broken glass, messed up furniture, and signs of attempted looting.
Well, yeah.
However, there was nothing. It
That's
was as
good.
if everything was a part of a museum. I took some time to look at some of the pictures that were scattered on the wall, which is pictures of the farmer, at least what I thought was the farmer, and some other pictures of some of his family. I decided to look around a little bit more, but I found nothing. Well, of interest, that is. I finally had gotten bored of the first floor and made my way up to the second floor. For some odd reason, I tried breaking. There were about 4 doors upstairs, but that was about it. I managed to open up 3 of the doors around me, but the 4th one was locked from the inside for some odd reason. I tried breaking it down, but instead I wound up messing up my shoulder.
Oh, shit.
I finally decided to just get out of the house and see what else I could find. I then made my way to the barn itself. Despite the fact that the barn obviously needed a fresh coat of paint, it didn't look too terrible. As I inched closer towards the front door, I had a strange feeling that something wasn't right. I mean, there obviously wasn't anything right about the situation, but this feeling was different. I felt like something was tugging at the inside of me, begging not to be brought into whatever was in that barn.
Oh, that's not good.
However, me being the idiot that I wasn't going to let a bad feeling get in the way of my fun. I immediately opened up the doors, and was rather heavy to say the least. After walking into the barn, I pulled up my flashlight and turned it on. What I wound up seeing was a big stack of nothing. Seriously, there was nothing at all. No animals, no tools, no hay bales, nothing.
Lame.
At this point, I was on the verge of just giving up and leaving, when I saw something that made me stop in my tracks. At first it didn't seem like much, but after shining the flashlight on the ground, I saw blood. Not much, just a few drops, but still. My disappointment had now turned into dark curiosity. As I stepped closer to examine the bloodstains, I saw that they weren't dry, but fresh. This was certainly weird. I mean, where did it come from? As far as I knew, I hadn't cut myself, so there's no reason why blood was there. I'd gotten up from the spot in which I had been to examine the blood, and I wound up tripping on something. A piece of wood. I later found out, and my flashlight illuminated a further part of the floor. What I saw made my blood run cold.
What?
The small drops that I had found on the floor increased more and more until there was nothing but a trail of fresh blood that led to one of the stalls. I, hesitantly that is, made my way towards the stall that the blood trail led. And that's when I heard it. The sound of chewing.
What the hell?
Why I hadn't noticed it beforehand, I will never know. As I walked closer and closer to the stall door, I heard the sound of munching getting louder with each step. I then reached for the stall door and slowly opened it. My nerves were shaking with every passing moment. Opening the door, I shined my flashlight at who or what was making the munching sound. What I saw was baffling. I saw a small orange ferret sitting in the middle of the stall. I sighed with relief and then cursed myself at being so paranoid. I made a few clicking noises to try and get the ferret's attention, but nothing worked. It just sat there eating whatever it had in its paws. I then shouted at it, and that's when I got a reaction. I really fucking regret that. The ferret's head shot up as if alarmed, then stood up on its hind legs. Which I found odd. After it did that, it dropped what it was eating. I didn't get a good look at first, but when I shined my flashlight on it, my blood turned to ice. What that ferret was eating was the severed head of the farmer.
What the hell?
The head itself lacked any visible skin. Instead, it just revealed muscle tissue. The eyes and tongue had been ripped out by something, and the skull was cracked in some parts, revealing the brain inside. I had to choke back vomit at what I had seen. I then shakily pointed my light towards the ferret. It had since turned itself around when I examined the head. What I saw still haunts me to this very day. The front side of the ferret was doused in blood. So much, in fact, that had I not seen its backside, I would have mistaken the red blood for its actual fur color. The eyes. Holy hell, the eyes. The eyes were pitch black, with the exception of a thin layer of white that hadn't been covered. However, the whites weren't white at all, but bloodshot. It looked at me, and then gave a toothy grin. Its teeth were covered in heavy amounts of blood, with fresh bits of gore stuck between its teeth. It continued to smile at me, and then it spoke. It fucking spoke to me.
Are you as hungry as I am?
Why?
I remember its
But not like my appetite.
voice. The thing then let out a blood-curdling scream. I honestly booked it at that point. There was no way in hell I was going to stay at that barn with that thing. As I ran as fast as I could, but the thing chased after me with a speed that made Roadrunner look like a turtle. I actually managed to get away from that thing by hiding myself in a random room that I found. I knew for a fact that I was trying to get out the front door, the thing would have gotten me. I remember as I locked the door I was in, I smelled a rather vile odor. I turned around and saw a sight that still made me, to this very day, still makes me retch. The entire room was packed with dead animals. Some rotting, some freshly killed. Most, if not all, the animals were either dismembered or skinned in the most gruesome fashion. I would have puked right then and there if it wasn't for the fact that the thing was ramming itself rather hard, I might add, into the door. I know that I didn't have much time to react. I quickly looked around and found a small window that led outside of the barn. I immediately ran from the window, slipping and getting covered in a copious amount of blood and gore as I did. I managed to slip myself out of the window just in time before the door gave way. I had hit the ground hard, but I was determined to get the fuck out of there ASAP. I ran as fast as I could onto my car and got in. I then started it and rammed the gas as hard as I could, and I made sure to keep going until I was at least back in town. Once I had gotten back into town, I drove straight to the hotel, packed my shit, and woke my friends up so that we could get in the car as soon as possible. They were both concerned what was going on, but I said nothing. I just loaded them up with all of our stuff and booked it out of that town for good. I drove the entire 12-hour trip back home with very few stops. My friends kept on trying to get answers from me, but I said nothing. I mean, what the hell was there to say? Farrah tried to fucking kill me? Once I'd gotten home, I dropped my friends off and their respective houses, and I made my way back to my home. It took me months to get over what had happened to me. I still haven't said anything about the matter, at least not up until now. I went to therapy for a few months to try and rid myself of the nightmare that had happened to me, and thankfully it worked. As of now, I currently am back to my old self again.
Good.
I still have nightmares every so often about what had happened, but it doesn't affect me that badly. All I can say, however, is that I'm never going back to Odaville, Connecticut, ever again.
Mm.
Well, everyone, it's been a very long-ass time since I've done a review for a story, but hey,
Yep.
why not do one? This was Are You As Hungry As I Am, a creepypasta written by yours truly many, many, many years ago. Oh, dear merciful goodness gracious, what is there to actually say about this piece of shit? Well, first and foremost, it's a piece of shit. I never really understood how and why I thought the story was good. First and foremost, let's start off with the biggest problem here. The grammar. It's fucking abysmal. Every
Yeah.
little ounce of it needs a complete and utter rewrite. Second of all, the story's pacing is absolutely abysmal. This is 3,000 words, people. There's really no structure to the whole thing. Basically, if I could sit there and summarize the whole thing, first and foremost, a guy goes exploring. They find a random town. Guy goes to a random barnyard, sees a small tiny little ferret eating something, runs the fuck away, shits his pants, runs off. That's basically all that there is to the story. There's not much that really glues. To put it bluntly, there's really not much I can honestly say other than the fact the story is absolutely abysmal. I mean, there's no structure. Not only that, the pacing of the story is about as stable as sitting there and skipping rocks. There is no pacing. There's none of it. It goes from one thing to another. And,
Yeah.
you know, the funny thing is, I don't know if it's the Mandela effect or if I genuinely forgot, but I remember that there was one specific time in this pasta, I don't know if I wrote it or not, where, like, the character's sitting there and driving, but finds up seeing little Freddy sitting there, and it's like, just looks at him and just runs him the fuck over.
Oh, damn. Damn. That's
This was
dark.
fucking hilarious. Every little bit of this was fucking hilarious. I mean, we have the Are You As Hungry As I Am, deep demonic voice, we have blood, we have gore, we have so much that's wrong with this. I'm basically ad-libbing all of this, but I really honestly can't say much else other than this not only needs a massive rewrite, but it just needs something.
Yeah.
It needs a full-fledged rewrite. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The story fucking sucks. Maybe I might rewrite this thing. Maybe I might not. But and I'm sure some of you probably noticed that I was trying to keep myself from laughing because just the very idea of seeing a tiny little ferret sitting there eating a head and just like running after her, like the fucking Roadrunner. Jesus.
That was funny.
Oh my gosh. You know, I get this was one of the first creepypastas I wrote years back, especially after not having written one for some time, but this story, you know what, I'm just gonna say it, it's crap. That's all that there is to say. But I want to ask you guys, what do you think? This story has obviously not aged well, and I would love for you to go out of your way and rip a new one into this fucking pasta. Anyway, thank you guys again for watching. I'm the Eternal Ferret, and I'm out of this bitch. See you guys in the next video.
What was in a centimeter? Oh my god, that was a super popular video that acted on your app, hundred at time. Well, the centimeter. Well, what might be? I mean, I mean, but nothing. I didn't really make any sense. But it was funny as well. Yeah, but it was, no, yeah. What I talked about again? Oh, right, the video. You know what, it went good. Or actually, okay. Oh, I mean, the partner was fine. Um, and stuff like that. So, yeah. And it went 9, that's it for me. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please, rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you one next time. So, peace out.